next door. And Ronnie Chatah joins us live now. He's a political analyst and host of the podcast, the Beirut Banyan. Ronnie, we've just been on air there with our colleague Mohammed. 5 missiles were launched from Iran. We were just speaking there about the fact that it's over. It seems to be lessening the number of missiles that are sent from Tehran, well, from Iran to Israel. Your reaction to that? Do you think Israel is doing its job of intercepting, or Iran is changing its strategy? It's running out. It's conserving its missiles. What do you think the strategy is?
Well, I'll put it in perspective from what I can see from Beirut, and I'll just give you an example. Last night, I was driving from the north of the country south towards Beirut, and the entire sky lit up with these orange glows of Iranian missiles and drones, and then suddenly, one by one, being shot down as they were heading southwards towards Israel. And this has been happening every night. You can see them up in the sky. My understanding from what's been happening and the way the Iranians are able to sometimes successfully hit Israel is that those are anomalies, and that's not the norm. The overwhelming majority are being shot down long before they reach Israel, and they're being intercepted, whether it's above Lebanon or prior to reaching this part of the region. But that said, it is still very, very tense to be able to sit next door to this conflict and watch it above. It is different than what happened here months ago when Lebanon was the battlefield. This time around, we're looking up at the sky and watching the war take place. I do not think, my understanding of this entire conflict as it exists up until now, I do not think there's any way to see Iran gaining the upper hand when it comes to hitting back. I think this is more for show. I think this is far more performance. I sense diplomacy will be a resort that will be taken by this regime. And I say this because I think there aren't many options left for this regime. Either a deal can be struck or the regime itself will falter and may even fall. I don't think we're there yet, but I think that's the preferred path, and I see that happening before missiles continue to rain.
But Ronnie, when the Supreme Leader speaks, it really doesn't seem from the tone, from his message even today, that diplomacy is on the cards. But I just want to get your reaction to how you see the region possibly reacting to the big news today that we've been hearing, Donald Trump's flip-flopping on whether the US is going to directly attack Iran alongside Israel.
You're absolutely right. There's double speak. Sometimes there's triple, quadruple speak. I think the American president has been saying many things at once, and I think there's a sort of disarray when it comes to the diplomatic maneuvering. But that said, I sense the regime has no choice but to negotiate. And the reason I'm starting on that premise is because I do not think, and this is my understanding, I do not think the Israelis are pushing for regime change. And if the Americans get involved, I don't think they are pushing for regime change either. Quite the contrary. All indications are that the Americans have been they've been pressuring Israel not to pursue the Supreme Leader Khamenei. That said, I think the task at hand is to prevent Iran from ever considering to develop a nuclear weapon, period, to degrade its ballistic missiles to a point that they're unusable, something similar to what happened to their proxy in Lebanon, Hezbollah, last year. Hezbollah remains armed. Hezbollah has not been disarmed, but Hezbollah cannot fight Israel. The leadership was killed, communications capabilities disrupted. Hezbollah is a diminished group today, but it remains armed. I sense the Iranian regime will end up in a similar place should it not be forced to negotiate, meaning it's hard for me to see the regime being the target of this round. Rather, it's the capabilities that will be diminished, crippled, and probably permanently paralyzed.
Ronnie, thank you so much. Really great to get your analysis, as you say, from neighboring Lebanon, watching what's happening in Israel next door. Thank you so much, Ronnie Chatah.